To bring in Michelle Malkin, who's out in Colorado. And I think we were just talking about those mudslides out there. You don't live nearby that, or do you?
I do, actually. The 24 that was closed because of the mudslide is how I get to Fox.
Oh, my goodness. You were on that road yesterday, right?
Yeah, I was, and fortunately avoided the mud. But there's plenty of mud in Washington to compensate for it, right?
Indeed.
Yeah, let's start talking about Obamacare. I think there's been some critics on the right on Obamacare. Now, one Republican voted for it, and now we see that now that it's passed, it's almost unimplementable. How do you characterize what has happened over the last week with Obamacare?
Yes, well, I saw the implosion video, and I think it was quite apt. I hate to say that the critics were vindicated, because there's nothing sweet about this vindication. It's all bitter. But the way in which the administration announced so sheepishly right before the July 4th holiday that they were going to delay implementation, not merely of the reporting rules for the employer mandate, but effectively, of course, the employer mandate itself, I think it's just proof positive that this thing was set up to fail.
And so, you know, we just put up the timeline where first we heard about, through that blog, we heard that the employer mandate not going to be mandated as required by law. And so there are a number of Republicans who are saying, well, you know what, if you're not going to do the employer mandate, let's not do the individual mandate. Let's not, you know, why help business and not people? Let them both off the hook, maybe forever.
Yeah, that's right. Ted Cruz made that statement a couple of days ago, with which I completely agree. But I think you have to dial back even further on this timeline, because from day one, the Obama administration was issuing waivers. I mean, this latest one really is just a waiver from Obamacare for Obamacare. But we started out with a select group of companies and unions and favored health care providers that were exempted temporarily from the onerous burdens of this massive monstrosity. And ever since, they've been issuing this. And so this really is the trademark of how this whole thing has gone down. Selective enforcement. And if you want to simplify it, what we're really talking about is just this basic Orwellian concept of the administration, that bad is good, that up is down, and that failure is success.
It'll be interesting to see if there are any legal ramifications of the fact that you cannot just try to implement part of a law that you've passed. It'll be interesting to see if lawsuits come to pass in the next few weeks. Got to move on to this other topic. Apparently there's a relatively new program put in place by the administration to try and stop leakers like Edward Snowden. I think it was in place before that time. But basically, it's kind of like spying on each other at work. For example, it encourages workers, federal workers, to watch lifestyles, attitudes, and behaviors of other coworkers. You know, check out if they're working odd hours, unexplained travel, monitor coworkers' stress, divorce, financial problems, track online activities. I mean, what kind of work environment would this set up, and would it be really easy to try and just turn one of your own employees in, coworkers in?
Yeah. Well, let me say this, because I believe that classified information should stay classified, and there used to be a tradition and habit and mandate across the federal government that it was treated as such. And so any attempts to make sure that secret information from the government remains secret is something that should be unobjectionable. But of course, in this current environment, what you have, I suppose, is a training program for snitches, or a training program so that you've got these experienced spies who can spy on the rest of us. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. Meanwhile, let's take folks down to Gitmo, where a bunch of those guys who are being held are on a continued hunger strike. A judge ruled Monday that she lacks the authority to halt the forced feeding. You refer to this essentially as jihad theater, or Cirque du Jihad.
Cirque du Jihad, certainly. I think that you have to put this latest round of hunger strikes, which have been going on for several months, in context. And the fact is that you've got Gitmo swindlers who've been foisting all sorts of fables on the world, with help from a lot of these transnationalist groups and left-wing bleeding hearts lawyers, who are trying to cast every last detainee as some poor innocent potato farmer. And I think that what the American people need here is a reality reality check about how manipulative al-Qaeda operatives and their sympathizers are. Yeah. And the fact is that, you know, back since 2005, they have been concocting all sorts of sob stories and victim stories to try and shut Gitmo down. And that is the ultimate goal here. It has nothing to do with any kind of defense of human rights. These people are willingly and deliberately manipulating public and global opinion.
I know, it's unbelievable. The inmates are running the asylum, and we're allowing it. If you let the guards do their thing, they'd be able to take control of it. Meanwhile, the AP is now reporting that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who is a graduate of North Carolina A&T with, I believe, a degree in engineering, has been allowed to put together and take apart a vacuum cleaner to keep his sanity. What's your take on that?
Well, you know, it's part of that whole Gitmo coddling mentality. Apparently, we're indulging his tinkering penchant and fetish here by letting him do this kind of thing. I think what was shocking to me in the stories that have come out about how we've been filling his idle time is the fact that, you know, here he is relaxing, watching movies and DVDs, and apparently getting Snickers bars. Okay, so let's not focus on the hunger strikers. Let's talk about that. And this guy has still yet to be, you know, held and justice achieved for his masterminding of terror plots that took American innocent lives.
Costing us millions of dollars.
All part of your jihad theater. All right, Michelle Malkin,
That's right.
joining us from out in Colorado. Thank you very much. We'll see you back here next week.
You bet. Take care.
Thanks, Michelle.